I am so excited to be bringing in the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Ben Wikler. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Delighted to be with you in this moment of absolutely mind-blowing crisis.
Yeah, it certainly is that. And we need fighters, and you are one of the best we have. And you're needed in this moment right now because apparently one election was not enough for Elon. He's got billions and billions, and he wants to spend them buying up more elections. And one of those is in your state. And so, for my audience who may not be familiar with what Elon Musk is trying to do right now, can you talk about the race he is trying to purchase?
Unfortunately, I can. So last fall, he was, I think, the biggest donor to help Donald Trump take over the White House. He's shredding the federal government. And meanwhile, he's decided to try to buy state courts. And you might ask, why is he trying to buy state court systems? There's a couple of reasons. In Wisconsin, he has a lawsuit to try to basically overturn state law around selling Teslas in Wisconsin so he can make more money if he can win that lawsuit. But the other thing is, if you break the law in a state, Donald Trump can't pardon you. He can only pardon you if you break federal law. So among many other potential motivations, he seems interested in taking control of Wisconsin State Supreme Court. And we have an election on April 1st in Wisconsin. There's a very hardcore MAGA Republican named Brad Schimmel who's running. And then it's an open seat. And then there's Judge Susan Crawford, who's like a fair-minded, independent judge, the kind of person you'd want to be in front of if you were ever in court. And Elon Musk has put in $10 million to help Brad Schimmel win the Supreme Court race. This is more than anyone has ever spent in a Wisconsin judicial election. This is now, thanks to Musk's involvement, the most expensive judicial election in American history anywhere. And the question is whether the people, all of us, can actually go up against that kind of money and win this race. But I'll say this, people are so mad at Musk that his involvement could actually backfire and lead more people to vote for Susan Crawford and give Elon Musk his first electoral defeat. So that is my obsession, is to make that happen.
Absolutely. And I would love for Elon to screw himself once again. He seems to be doing it with the share price of Tesla. If he would be doing it in this race, that would be great. You're talking about how upset people are with Elon. Obviously, that is why we are here talking about this today. What is the feeling on the ground, of course, about Elon, but also what this race means to Wisconsin? How are people reacting with their first opportunity to really say, we are not letting Donald Trump and Elon Musk control any more of our country, any more of our laws. We are not allowing them to have hands any more places. What's the feeling on the ground in Wisconsin?
Last night, I was in the biggest the heart of red Wisconsin in Waukesha County, and we had hundreds of people packed into a town hall. No candidate, no politicians were there. The city council president was there, about Elon Musk and his involvement in this race. And people were furious. They were roaring. We had person after person come to the front. A guy who works in the Postal Service talking about Elon Musk trying to destroy the Postal Service. Someone who's about to be on Social Security talking about Elon Musk attacking Social Security. People who work at the Veterans Administration who've lost their jobs or whose jobs are on the chopping block. People are so mad, and they get exactly how connected Elon Musk is to Brad Schimmel in this race. We're in a world now where whatever it is that Elon Musk supports is going to become a target for people who don't want Elon Musk to destroy the foundational things that make our society work. Honoring the people who serve our country in uniform, ensuring that older folks don't live in abject poverty as they did before Social Security. So there is a rage level on the ground that I'm not sure shows up in polls, because polls always start with an assumption level about, they say that you kind of model even turnout across the two sides and then ask, given that, how will each side do? Well, Republicans released a poll that found this race is currently tied 47-47, but that's only true if people turn out at equal numbers across the two sides. My sense is that there's a very real chance that Democratic turnout is going to shoot up in this fight. And we're going to need it, because Musk is trying to do everything he can to drive up MAGA turnout. If we can turn out Republicans now, we send a message to the whole country that you can fight back against Elon Musk, and Elon Musk's millions cannot protect the people who are helping him to shred our social safety net and our government and our Constitution.
Absolutely. And of course, we need Democrats to turn out in huge numbers. And I'm really hoping and thinking they will. But let's pretend that I'm a disaffected voter, right? And I'm thinking to myself, well, Democrats and Republicans, these people are all the same. They're always going to give tax breaks for billionaires. They're all, bought out by corporations. I don't care what Elon does with Brad Schimmel. What is Brad Schimmel going to do to affect me? What are the non-Elon related ways that his potential victory and the shifting of this court could affect just regular folks in Wisconsin who aren't necessarily thinking about Elon?
Yeah, so take the Elon factor, the MAGA factor all off the table,
Hmm.
and you get the question of whether you think that Wisconsin should enforce a law passed in 1849 before the invention of modern medicine, before the Civil War, that makes abortion a felony punishable by 6 years in jail. Because Brad Schimmel, he likes that law. We just had a debate. He said repeatedly that it's a valid law, that it was passed by the state legislature, was signed by the governor. There's a lot of, I mean, there have been other laws since then that normally you'd say those laws supersede the older one. He said this law is valid. He was asked years ago whether he thought that it should be taken off the books. And he said no, because if Roe versus Wade is overturned, we'll be glad that that law is there. This is someone who he actually went after Planned Parenthood when he was the Republican Attorney General of the state in a case called Planned Parenthood versus Brad Schimmel. And he said it was an honor to have his name on the case. The lawyer, by the way, in that case for Planned Parenthood was Susan Crawford, who's the candidate that I'm supporting. So if you think that women shouldn't be able to control their own bodies, you want Brad Schimmel. If you don't think that we should go back to pre-Civil War total abortion bans with no exception for rape or incest or the health of the mother, then Brad Schimmel's your guy. That is one big thing. But there's also like voter suppression cases, union busting cases. Republicans are pretty confident that he would re-gerrymander our state legislature and lock in Republican control if he got the deciding vote. And by the way, this is an election that will determine the majority on the court. Whoever wins casts the deciding vote in 4-3 cases. So pretty much everything that touches Wisconsinites' lives could come through this court, starting with these fundamental questions about healthcare and reproductive freedom. And Brad Schimmel is on the wrong side of all of them.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned gerrymandering the state. I have two more questions for you about just that. Let's say again, we're playing the game. People feel disaffected right now. Maybe people are done tuning in. Maybe they don't want to get to work fighting Donald Trump. I really hope they do, right? But if they think, okay, well, what is the implication of this race at the national level? What happens if we see the gerrymandering of Wisconsin? What are the decisions that could be made by that potentially conservative majority court, which have implications for maybe Democrats taking back the majority in Congress?
Well, I'll go even beyond that. So Wisconsin was the only state that came within one vote on the state Supreme Court of overturning the 2020 presidential race.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Schimmel has said that the Wisconsin Supreme Court screwed over Trump in 2020. He has been this absolutely hardcore MAGA enthusiast. He's parroted conspiracy theories about the 2020 election. So the presidency in 2028, voting rights decisions that'll affect the House and the Senate. Brad Schimmel and his supporters, the House Freedom Caucus, the most right-wing group, they are running ads essentially saying that he will freeze in our congressional maps, which currently are hyper-gerrymandered for Republicans. They have 6 out of the 8 congressional seats in Wisconsin. If someone were to bring a legal challenge to the congressional maps, if you have a fair court that actually looks at the law and constitution, some legal scholars think that these maps could be struck down, which would mean 2 additional congressional seats for Democrats if we had 50-50 elections in a 50-50 state. But under Brad Schimmel, there would be a thumb on the scale to ensure that there's no review of the constitutionality of those maps. So it's the House majority, Senate majority, the White House, the sanctity of elections overall, the state legislature. The question, if we had a Democratic trifecta, a state assembly, state Senate, and governorship, probably we would restore union organizing rights. And when people are part of unions, they fight back against the billionaires and the oligarchy. That's something also the Republicans don't want to happen. So pretty much the whole, I should also add, Wisconsin's the tipping point state in national politics. So whoever wins Wisconsin typically wins the presidency. And it was the closest state in the country in 2024. So if we had a pro-worker, pro-voting rights, pro-democracy state Supreme Court, that could have a huge effect on the future of American democracy. If Brad Schimmel wins, then you could have a giant thumb on the scale, an elephant on the scale, to prevent Wisconsin voters from being able to choose their destiny in a way that could lock in MAGA control of the country for a long time to come.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, this race happening just a few days really away. And I know you are so incredibly busy, but I had one more question for you because no one fights and no one messages like Wisconsin Democrats. That is because of your leadership. We're in a moment in time right now where we need Democrats to act like and message like Wisconsin Democrats. What would be the advice that you would give And I'm not naming names, but if I were, I might say to Chuck Schumer, but it doesn't even matter. To Democrats, how do they need to fight back in this moment? How did they need to bring the same fight that y'all do and have year after year, election after election, and have proven a track record of success because of it?
Well, the first thing is to fight.
Yeah.
It is to not just
Thank
roll
you.
over. When you have a chance to fight, you take that chance. You show people what you're for and who you're for, and you explain why you're fighting. This is about people's lives. This is about their control over their bodies. This is about whether they'll be able to retire with dignity. This is about whether their votes will be torn up or whether they'll actually count for something. And you bring it back over and over to the impact on real people's lives instead of being about, the acronym names of different federal agencies or this or that, minute piece of the legislative process. It's about real life. This stuff actually has consequences. The people I saw in Waukesha last night are terrified about whether they'll have to go back to work in their 80s because Social Security is going to be smashed. That should not be on the table right now. So you communicate everywhere, you communicate always, and you tell people what they can do. And let me take a second to do that. Wherever you are right now, if you go to wisdems.org/volunteer, you can sign up and join phone banks, call voters in Wisconsin. You'll be calling Democrats. They will thank you. It is a great experience right now. You're telling people how they can fight back against Musk and Trump and Brad Schimmel and this right-wing machine. If you're in Wisconsin or near Wisconsin, you can sign up and come knock on doors. That's wisdems.org/volunteer. If you go to wisdems.org/donate, you can chip in a few bucks. That helps fight back. We don't need to outspend Elon Musk to be able to defeat Elon Musk. And if you want to find both of these links at one handy location, go to peoplevmusk.org because we have a website. You can see our anti-Elon Musk ads. You can see the links to donate. I don't know if you can hear the beeping in the background. There's a protest against Musk right now on the Capitol Square.
People are here. People are fired up.
They're ready for the fight. That's why I'm fired up in this moment. It's because people, when they have a chance to do something, they do. They will. We are ready for this fight. And, the first victory that we can achieve is in Wisconsin on April 1st in the state Supreme Court race. If we do this, we can show Republicans that Elon Musk can't save them. If they attack Social Security and healthcare across this country and veterans, that they're going to lose their jobs, no matter how much Elon Musk spends to help them. And it'll show Democrats that they can stand up against this GOP machine, against Elon Musk, and they can win. So let's send that message by winning this election.
Ben Wikler, every time I hear you speak, I get so excited. I get so hopeful. I get so fired up. I am glad that we had this conversation on this show. Honored to be joined in this fight with you. And of course, you mentioned all the important places people can get in there, get the information, support y'all's fight. That will all be linked below this video. Ben, thank you so much for joining the show. I truly appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jack. Take care.